Welcome to Red and Black Sport for yet another week. Well, let's just have a wee reflect back on the activities over the weekend. I said last week, the Black Caps are a hard team to watch, aren't they? You're never quite sure what you're going to get. It's like Forrest Gump with his box of chocolates, really. Well, they were up against it again in the third test, which was pretty vital. And then what a wonderful partnership. And Kane Williamson, he just looks a class act, doesn't he? He seems to have plenty of time. He's a totally dedicated cricketer, and he really has pulled us out of the fire and probably turned the Black Caps, barring rain, into a position where they could actually win the series, which would be something very, very special to be able to do against the West Indies. Backed up well too by Jimmy Measham. Where he's come from, I've no idea. He was in the side as a bowler, and I don't think I think he might have missed once. I think 2 tons and another 50. So yeah, he's quite a good investment, isn't he? So it could be a fascinating day tomorrow, keeping an eye on the Black Caps. Christchurch Boys High played Marlborough Boys on Saturday. And remember, Marlborough Boys, not surprisingly, but it's the first one out of Canterbury that have won the big Super Games and to win the Press Cup. So they came down here. Well, it'd be one of the best first 15 displays I've seen for a very long time from Christchurch Boys. They put 10 tries on Marlborough. They missed about 9 kicks. It could have been a century of points if they had. Quite interesting, they obviously believe in themselves. They've won 9 from 9 now. They've had a bonus point in every game, and they've only kicked 2 penalty goals. They haven't got a kicker, but they haven't needed one so far. Who knows if it gets a bit tougher. But they just blitzed them, and it was a joy to be out in the sun and watch a side of young men like that play as well as that. So hence the disappointment when we tuned into the Cake Tin later in the night. If Crusaders could have even got one of those tries off Boys High, it would have made the game a bit. But gee, I don't know. I remember Griswali always used to say, any mug can coach a side, it's how you select the side. And I think Toddy, on a couple of occasions in this campaign, has been found wanting a bit on the selection side of it. Any other province would have played Carter and Reid first up. They're jewels in the crown. They're there to play. They should have started the game. However, really, it was a dreadful watch, wasn't it, really? And they've dug a bit of a hole for themselves now, the Crusaders, but let's hope they show the resilience to get themselves out of it. Well done to the Rams. Finished in style. They beat Southland on their last game, and that'll be something you'll always carry through in the off-season. It hasn't been a great season for them, but first in, they've done well, and to win their last game just makes the summer a little bit easier, I would think. And then finally, of course, the much vaunted and awaited return of Tiger Woods to competitive golf. Well, he missed the cut by the length of the street, and I don't think he's anywhere near ready at the moment to be playing that. And of course, everyone's been absorbed, haven't they, with the World Cup. We're going to talk about that later when we get the world's finest goalkeeper in here, in Alan Stroud. He's broken away from the O'Shea's Public House just to be with us. But I think it's a real dilemma we've got at the moment, and I don't know much about the sport of netball apart from the fact I love watching it, and I love the skill levels that are there. No one would know the game better than my guest, Margie Foster. And Margie, you're looking really splendid, mate. Everything's well?
Yeah, my health is all good.
Good girl, yeah. Where are we with netball in Canterbury? I know this is probably different, because are you applying for the coach's job?
Yeah, I did make a last-minute application in because, you know, after 7 years of not actually applying for it, and I'm back here in the province now.
Yeah. Where have you been?
Well, I've just been plying my trade. I have a love of coaching, and I've been coaching internationally. I've been at Loughborough University, helping them out in the Super League. That's just outside of London,
right,
like north of London. One of the most top sporting universities in the world. That was an amazing experience.
Yep.
They weren't that talented in netball though, but never mind.
Right. How long did you do there?
Well, I actually was satellite coaching from here, and then my assistant coach and I would team tag. So it was like from October of last year, I answered an SOS call because the head coach, she decided not to take up that role, and they were desperate for somebody to fill the boots. So away I went, and I put together a proposal, and they accepted it, and it was really good.
How long did you spend there, mate?
Well, I went in, we went over in November. So I went over to watch the All Blacks play in Twickenham as well. Kind of tagged all those things on, as you do.
As you do.
Then came back. So I only went for like 2 weeks then, and then in January went back again, and then went back in March, April.
A lot of travel, mate, isn't it? It's a long way, isn't it? Yeah.
Honestly, it is a long way.
Going over's not so bad. Coming back, it seems to be forever, doesn't it?
Well, it's flipping exhausting.
It is,
yeah.
So, okay, and you had an impact on them. Did they up the ante a bit?
They certainly did. They're like just small gains. Like their turnover rate was huge. Like it was like over 60 per game, and we got it down to in its 30s. Still not like not as good as what you'd consider it here being in New Zealand. But I also did some coaching. I ran an international workshop in Hong Kong. I was
Good
asked
on
to,
you.
for all of Asia. And from that, we had the most amazing coaches from Nepal, Singapore, Malaysia, Hong Kong, Sri Lanka that came along, and then from that they asked me to go over to Sri Lanka to coach their national team, and I've just come back from there.
Yeah.
And had a wonderful time in Colombo, which is a real cricket haven city, but oh my gosh, they were amazing.
Have
like
they
the
embraced
athletes.
netball?
Yeah, they've got the tallest shooter in the world that resides there. She's 7 foot.
Jeepers.
But their talent is amazing. They're pretty cool.
Good.
Just obviously off the court, not, like politically, lots of things go on, which I kind of, I turn a blind eye to because I'm there to coach.
Just back to England for a minute. How strong do you think they potentially are, the English side? I'm thinking Commonwealth Games probably.
Yeah, I definitely think that they are stronger than what they have been with the Super League. I really think that Tamanu, when she was over there, she and her and Lynn Gudson made huge inroads
She was
into
Lynn
that
Parker,
team.
if you're trying to think of
Yeah.
Lynn Gudson.
And they made huge inroads. And, when you go over as a New Zealander, you really appreciate and can see what they've done over there for the sport.
There's a lot of
netball.
money in that game there over there.
Yeah, there is. Not too bad.
So it's well funded.
It's well funded,
Yeah.
but it's all on, the government funding is all on performance.
Right.
And if you don't perform, you don't get your money.
So what target have they set for them for the Commonwealth Games?
They have to medal.
They have to
Yeah.
medal, yeah. So, okay, that's probably third, the way the standings are. Australia, New Zealand, then perhaps England. Is there anyone else
I
could
think
sneak
so.
through?
No, I think that's probably fair. Jamaica, England, that will be quite a tough semi-final. It's quite predictable now what's going to be. But, definitely in that respect, they've certainly improved, and the English players that are playing in our ANZ champs, I
Right.
mean, look, we're helping them to improve.
Yeah. And facility-wise, pretty good?
Facilities amazing. Your own netball centre. They had this guy like Rod Thorpe, who was like the head of teaching games for understanding, lecturer, director over there. He wanted to design a netball centre, so we had this fully serviced netball centre. So you'd go and play at the netball centre. It was great.
Amazing, isn't it? When we come back, though, we're going to talk about bring it to a local level now. What can we do with the tactics and how can we improve? And we'll talk with Mark Foster about that when we come back. Welcome back. And just a wee news flash for you. Wednesday night and Thursday night, we will have a very special game of rugby for you. Otago Boys High are coming up to take on Christchurch Boys High. I already waxed lyrical about how good Christchurch Boys High School looked on Saturday. Well, if you have a look at the scores that Otago Boys have racked up in their equivalent to our Crusader-type regional competition, they have just murdered everybody else. Promises to be a cracker. That's tomorrow at 12:30 at Christchurch Boys High School, and we'll have it on screen for you on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock, Thursday night at 7 o'clock. So I know there's a lot of Otago boys living up here now in Canterbury, so your old school's coming up. I think it's about the oldest traditional inter-school fixture in the country. So that's a wee buzz for you. Mark, back to netball, and I don't mean it's not a chauvinist thing or anything, but the thing that really has annoyed me is when they branded the unions playing. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit lost of who's the Pulse, who's the Diamonds. I just...
They're called the Mystics now.
Well, whatever.
Yeah,
well, there
yeah.
you go. You see, I don't
Yeah.
even know. And I'm thinking, gosh, like I don't like the Tactics name anyway, but that's by the by. That's what it's called. That's fine. But why don't they tag the province to it? Like it's the Wellington Pulse or the whatever, Canterbury Tactics, or it's just for lay people like us. I just get totally confused as to who's who. So I've got to say, I went to the Tactics last game at CBS Arena, and I am blown away at the fan base that Netball at Canterbury has. The place was chocker, and we'd won one game in the entire season. This was their last game, and the place was chocker. Great atmosphere. Everything's there, apart from the bloody performance. What do we do about it, mate?
Well, it's just, Well, we can always talk about how, like attracting talent here, but, we have got talent in Canterbury. We're the biggest, we're one of the biggest netball centres in New Zealand. We actually
Traditionally
are.
one of the strongest ever.
Well, we
Yeah.
have been
Yes.
the strongest, one of
Yes.
the strongest in the past, and I guess it, like having maybe a couple of changes in the personnel to bring that about. You still can't go past selecting athletes who have the will to win, and like who want to improve and be the best that they can be week in, week out. And just being able to challenge them as well as a group. You're not there to be their friend, really, are you?
No. If they sort of ground themselves down where coming second is pretty much okay.
Well,
shouldn't be, but is
subconsciously,
it? Yeah.
subconsciously, you really, like when you bring in people that have not got like last or have been in a losing team, they don't bring that with them. So subconsciously, you can kind of like say but it needs to go back to probably stats and be target driven.
I know we used the earthquake as an excuse, didn't we, where people didn't want to come to Canterbury or whatever, but we've moved on from there, and it is a semi-professional franchise. You'd think people would want to be a part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you're right. We have moved on from the earthquake. We can't use that as an excuse. And as Cantabrians, we're not used to making excuses for our performance. But, I look at the athletes and they go, you don't deliberately go out there to lose.
No.
They go out there and they're trying their best.
But there's a big difference. You don't go out to lose, but do you know how to go out and win?
Yeah, and that's what I would say.
Yeah.
And I'd probably look at it as more of a mental thing than anything, because they're immense. We had the top goal shooter in the competition, like shooting a huge amount of goals, and she's shooting 92%.
Correct.
And we
In a
still
losing side.
Yeah, in a losing team.
Yeah.
So, part of me would think, well, okay, would we rather have, red and black people on there? If we're going to lose, we might as well lose with our own on there. So we're working, developing them and improving
Is
on
it
them.
seen by Canterbury netballers that they really want to aspire to be a tactic?
I think it's 50-50. Like I coach at a ground level, and with Motivations Netball, 8-year-olds right through and through to 18-year-olds, and I really challenge the attitude of my netballers that come on the program that they should aspire to be tactics players. That
And
should
yet
be
when you go to a
first.
game, they know that the kids love it. They know their stars and their heroes. I think the wee ones worship them, the tactics. Just wonder whether the tactics realise just what a groundswell there is there for them.
Yeah, I think they do, but we still need those stars to be out there and to be, giving back, because that, you're only, we are the breeding ground for success for our young netballers coming through. We have got them there.
Right, now this is going to be like a job interview for Marg Foster now.
Gosh.
Marg, you get the job, what are you going to do? Simple as that. Lay it out, kid.
Oh.
Tell us first.
No, I look, it's top secret.
Oh,
Honestly. I haven't
bollocks.
even got. I haven't even look. I've only just had an interview. Like you've got to
How'd
be
it go?
like. Yeah, it was pretty. They were really lovely on the interview panel, but it's like now I find out early this week whether or not I'm actually through to the next stage.
Right.
So it's probably as much as going
When
for
would
the
you
Prime
take that
Minister's
up?
job. I'm not sure.
No, I mean,
When
because you've obviously got to select the squad.
Yeah, well, from what I gather, they've put contracts in front of some players already.
Right.
But they're really looking at having a transparent process for this. So I mean, that's a real good bonus for.
Julie
for
Foster, Seymour's keen, isn't she? Yeah.
Yep, Jules is keen, I think.
What role will Lee Gibbs have now?
Lee Gibbs is the high performance manager for Mainland Netball.
Right.
So she looks after and oversees that that junior or the development of athletes throughout the region.
So she's really now responsible for bringing them through, is
Yeah.
she? Yeah. You've got the top, you've got to do something with them. That's
Yeah.
basically the way it runs. Okay, so she doesn't have really much involvement in the tactics as such.
Not as such, but you've got to work. I would envisage the head coach would have to work, and aligned with her in that respect.
Did they ask you the question, were you to be successful, Marg Foster, who would be your running mate?
Not in this initial interview, but they did mention about support staff.
What's the ideal mix?
Well, for me, I would want to have a new structure,
Yes.
different mix.
Like what? You're the head coach. What's underneath you? What's beside you?
Attacking coach, defensive coach, personal performance coach, and a Moneyball statistician type coach.
Right. All answerable to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
'cause
your
the
head's on
boss.
the block.
Yeah, yeah.
And
yeah.
so, it's got to be able to do things differently.
Would it be full time for you? How exhausting is it?
No, not sure if it's full time. You've got to be able to ensure you've got that balance as well. Like I can't see it being a full time. Well, I mean, it's full time in the months of
The season.
the season.
Yeah.
But outside of it, you've got everyone doing their jobs and knowing what their roles are. In particular,
When do you think
fitness
you'll
trainer.
know? Because everyone's on the edge of their seat on the couch at home now.
I know. Well, I've had amazing support and people emailing and Facebooking me. It's just been quite phenomenal.
Did they give you a timetable?
No.
Okay.
So, really, this week. So this week we find out whether or not we've made the shortlist,
Right.
and then a presentation, and then from there.
So maybe end of July?
Yeah, possibly.
Possibly,
I'm
yeah,
feeling, or possibly mid-July.
On behalf of everyone, you couldn't have anyone more passionate about the game or about sport in general. Thanks very much, Margie. When we come back, we're going to talk World Cup football. I'm joined by a man who I reckon had the worst position ever in a football team, and that's goalkeeper. Stroudy, I've got to say to you, mate, the standard of goalkeeping in this tournament's been exceptional, hasn't it?
Yeah, Pete.
Best you've seen?
Oh, totally. I've really enjoyed it, and some of the keepers have been having outstanding performances that have led their teams to go through to the next rounds, and match-winning saves and things like that. So, yeah, great
From
to see.
a layman's point of view, I look at the power that some of those balls are driven at them. It's freakish how they can stop them.
Oh, and not just speed, but these balls are lighter than they ever used to be, and they move around in the air. So that's why you see there's not many catches, but a lot of parries.
Have you had a grizzle about the tournament at all? I have. I've had a grizzle, but have you?
Oh, there's been a couple of negative things, but definitely overshadowed by all the positive, all the football,
Correct.
and some of the
We
goals.
talked last week about the positive attitude most teams have brought to this World Cup, and they want to score goals. Gee whiz, that's refreshing, isn't it?
Yeah, and a couple of beauties yesterday. The Colombian boy, James, with his volley.
Well, how do you call him that, though? His name's James.
His name's James, for God's sakes.
If you look at the back of his shirt, he's James. I mean, it's quite You're saying now anyone who's got the name James that's playing football in Christchurch is now James, is he?
Yes, we had a young Irish boy who plays for Nomads in last night, and he is now officially James.
But the one thing that does gripe me a little bit, and I don't know, you'd probably have to drag them in screaming and carrying on, but the dive or the penalties that are given without being checked actually annoy me, because in a couple of occasions they have been crucial to the team being able to go on. I think of Greece, no touch at all, was there, in the bring down?
Yeah, the Greece one, there was a slight, he clipped him slightly, but then his foot hit the ground.
Yeah.
But you go to the likes of a TMO technology, and they're just as likely to get it wrong as well.
But at least somebody else having a look.
Yeah.
An independent look.
I can't see it happening in the near future.
Why?
But and they're going to the goal line technology, so technology is being incorporated, but I think there's a resistance to it.
Yeah, but you can't say it takes up time, because by the time they argue about giving the card and everything, we would have seen it about 10 times.
That's right. And then they book players for wasting time, and then they do all this. So
and they add it on at the end anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
They can do, yeah.
Okay. Probably the most even World Cup that I've actually watched, mainly given to the fact that so many good teams have missed the cut.
And now knockout, there's more at stake. So it's do or die. And
But you
it's
take
a
your
lot
Spains,
tighter.
your Italy's, even dare I say it, England, no longer part of this jolly thing. Makes it hard, doesn't it?
and
Costa Rica coming through. How
Costa,
they get
likes of
there?
Costa Rica, and Greece has done really well to get where they've got as well. And
Mexico played great ball, didn't they?
they played really well. They're very unlucky, and Netherlands did really well to come back.
Now, the next couple of days, we've got, I would call them the big heavy hitters coming through, haven't we?
Yeah, well, I've got money on my my sweep at work is
Which is O'Shea's Public House.
Public
in
House.
Marsden Road.
Yeah, it was my turn this weekend, but Belgium to go through, France, Germany, Argentina.
Yep.
And they're going to play each other in the quarterfinals as well. Some of these
Stunning
teams,
quarterfinals, aren't they?
just mouth-watering.
I know it's hard if you're a fan of another country, but I think it is the cream at the top now, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
I think
Yep,
so.
yep.
Some have surprised, some have played really well, like Uruguay. Can we talk about Hannibal? Yeah, Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah. I was surprised, but he got suspended for about 9 games from his club team next season. But for me, the club's got nothing to do with it. It should be international games.
Correct. It happened at a World Cup, didn't it? Yeah. 3 strikes. I mean, it's not a coincidence now that he has a bite, is it?
No, he needs counselling.
You ever struck it? You ever never
No,
struck
no,
it?
not at all. Never.
Don't know
ever.
how it goes through. I mean,
No.
we teach kids not to bite.
And when you've got so many cameras, there's nobody's going to miss it.
Yeah,
so
but-
it's not clever.
Yeah. But I mean, if he decked him, would be okay. I
But
mean,
the sad thing is, he's such a good player.
absolutely brilliant, isn't he? There's no doubt about it.
Tell you what, it's going to be fun when he goes back to England next season.
Oh,
around
mate.
the away games. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's going to get a bit of Borax.
So can you narrow it down to, say, a semi at this stage? Who's your tip in the semis?
Oh, look, I picked that if Brazil got past Chile, they would go all the way.
Why?
So
Did you see Chile as a big stumbling block?
Yeah, Chile have been fantastic during the qualifiers and defensively superb. And
I don't think Brazil have actually looked that great to me somehow.
no, but now they've won on a battle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've won doing good, playing nice football. They've won playing scrappy football.
They're
so
home and there's light at the end of the tunnel.
yeah, and they're the ones who are under the
Imagine
cosh.
if they had bowed out last night.
I imagine not making the
Alrighty,
quarterfinals.
mate. Imagine it. We wouldn't want to picture that.
It'd be carnage.
France, I think, are the sleeping giants.
Absolutely, yep.
Yep.
Out of those big four of Netherlands, Germany, Argentina, Brazil, I think
Yep.
France is the best outside those to have a crack at them.
Right.
Yep.
What are they paying at the moment? Quite good money?
Oh, I'm not sure.
No,
but
we'll have to have a look into that because I
tell you what, they would have been paying good money before the tournament.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're a pain in the backside at the Rugby World Cup. Why wouldn't they be a pain at the Football World Cup? You know,
Absolutely.
blooming France, yeah. Okay, Brazil, as we say, got a lot to play for. Argentina are a class act. There's no two ways about that. You'd have to respect them.
Match winners and Messi is just outstanding. Yeah.
Germany are very thorough side, aren't they? They're very
Always.
calculated. They work it out how they're going to go about it. Not flashy.
They attack at pace. They get lots of people forward and at pace and accuracy, and they'll be a threat at any time.
Netherlands.
Well, they've got through a scrappy game as well.
Correct.
And they're pretty fortunate, and Mexico could have had a couple more there, and that would have been the end of the Netherlands.
Funny that we'd played Mexico, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, I don't think we played that
Mexico.
Mexico. We didn't play that Mexico side, and the one we played smashed us. This one was full of their superstars, and they were very good.
Probably just as well they didn't.
Yeah, I reckon, yeah.
Okay. All right, so we've sort of settled on where we think it may go. The tournament itself, it's been absorbing, hasn't it?
Oh, totally, yeah. The whole thing has been
Did a
fantastic
directive
to watch.
go out to tell them to play more positively?
Oh, I think it must have, yeah. And now teams are being rewarded for throwing numbers forward and taking chances, and that's fantastic.
Officialdom, still a bit of a worry, isn't it?
Oh, always, yeah, but I think they do pretty well.
And they make the colour, don't they? I mean, they're humans, they make mistakes.
Yeah,
and
and see the Aussie referee who is in the penalty spotlight today, and the Greeks went out.
The thing is, I suppose we don't realise just how much is at stake, do we? To win a World Cup. I mean, you're made for life, aren't you?
And not just the pressure to win, but the money that goes around in this game is massive.
Unbelievable, yeah. So I don't know, Ronaldo, where will he head to? I mean, if they're lucky enough to win, what happens there? He just goes on the open market, I suppose.
Oh, well, this boy James from Colombia who could just about
James,
name his price as well. He
Yeah.
plays for Marseille in France, and they'll be going.
Yep.
The offers will be coming in.
They want to hang on to him, I suppose, yeah. I wonder if the English will fall for the trap of actually just buying more and more foreign players.
Oh, I think they will. It's for the sake of the EPL to make it more colourful and more internationals playing and that. But
It's
I
a
think
completely different way of thinking, isn't it? We think of the All Blacks as being the pinnacle. They would probably say Super 15 is the pinnacle. It's different, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, they just. I don't think they accept that England are hopeless, but I think they just say, well, okay, that's how it happens. We'll just keep going.
There's many more Englanders playing in the lower leagues.
Yes, yeah. All right, so just go through it again before we go. O'Shea's is going to go off, I tell you, because wait till they hear the picks. Give us your four.
Oh, I'm still sticking. I go Brazil, the big four.
Yep.
Brazil, Netherlands, Germany, Argentina.
Come down to two.
Whoa. Love to see Brazil. Like Brazil I've picked, so I'm going with them against, I'd say Germany.
Right, I'm going Brazil, France. So
nice.
He's coming back in next week, and we'll know far more by then. Okay, just a wee reminder: Wednesday night, Thursday night, we have a very special rugby game for you, the school game, and that's Christchurch Boys High School hosting Otago Boys. Otago Boys are on fire, but what we saw of Christchurch Boys High School at the weekend, they look a pretty special unit as well. So don't miss that. It's 12:30 tomorrow at Boys High School, but we'll have it on screen for you Wednesday night and Thursday night. Till next week, Pete Smith signing off.